Welcome back. Moments ago, the Pentagon confirmed a team of U.S. military personnel has arrived in Israel. The Defense Department has also deployed the initial components for an advanced anti-missile system aimed at protecting assets in the region. It comes as the UN Security Council has expressed its, quote, strong concern following reports of UN peacekeepers coming under fire by Israeli forces as fighting intensifies in Lebanon. It comes as the region braces for potential retaliation by Israel against Iran for the missile barrage launched into its territory earlier this month. The Washington Post reports that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told the Biden administration he is willing to strike Iran's military sites rather than its oil or nuclear facilities. That's according to two officials familiar with the matter who spoke to the paper. Joining us now, the Honorable Wendy Sherman. She is senior fellow at Harvard's Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs and served as Deputy Secretary of State under President Biden from April 2021 to July 2023. Madam Ambassador, among other things, the pressure cooker between Israel and Iran. What are the implications all around and the challenges for the Biden administration?
Well, I think this is a very, very tough time in the world, and particularly in the Middle East.
Yeah.
We don't want to forget Ukraine as well. But in the Middle East, I think this is good news if indeed the Washington Post story is accurate, that there will not be an attack on the nuclear sites or the oil sites. We don't want to see oil prices soar. We don't want to start a war, a wide war in the Middle East, if in fact there was an attack on the nuclear sites. You know, Mika, this goes back to the segment you just had. We're in a time where the world is churning. After Putin invaded Ukraine, we have a new sort of adversarial alignment of Russia, Iran, North Korea, and China. We need to have a steady hand, not someone who's going to go off half-cocked and decide it doesn't matter, we should use our nuclear capability. We've seen in the new Bob Woodward book a lot of concern about former President Trump's desire to use our nuclear capacity, and certainly the enemy within comments about using the military against American citizens is a cause of grave concern.
So if you could talk more about that. Donald Trump has made a number of statements that would be, I think, incredibly unsettling to our allies. And whether it be the ones that you just mentioned or taking on his political rivals, using the military to do so, having a day of violence, his ongoing discussions apparently that happened with Putin after he left the White House, sending him COVID tests. What does this look like if Trump wins a second term?
I think this looks very scary. We saw in the Woodward book that Jim Mattis, the former Secretary of Defense, one of the toughest guys around. It's why former President Trump asked him to be Secretary of Defense. He was really known as a tough guy. Went to the cathedral to pray because he was concerned that Donald Trump was going to set off a nuclear war. I think that if Trump were president, he would probably have said to Bibi Netanyahu, go ahead, hit their nuclear sites. We'll deal with the aftermath afterwards. We cannot have that reckless approach to national security. Hundreds of admirals, generals, captains, corporals, national security leaders, bipartisan guys who never take a partisan stance have come out and said in national security leaders that they are very concerned about a second Trump term. They think we would greatly be at risk. And quite frankly, as a citizen, Mika, what chilled me the most was the comments about attacking the enemy within. Left-leaning people mentioning Adam Schiff, who is about as dedicated a patriot as you could have to this country. So I think we're in a very tough time. And I think your former segment, drawing these contrasts, is important. Kamala Harris, I don't mean to be partisan here. She is steady. She's clear-eyed. She has experience versus someone who as we hear him speak in his own words, has a rather reckless approach to our national security. I think as citizens, we need to be concerned about that. We need to think about our vote going forward. One of the things we do here at Belfer is analyze where we are in the world. And we're in a very difficult place. And we need a president who understands the complexity, who understands that we work with others, with allies and partners. We don't go it alone. We share the burden with others. We care about our military. We want to make sure our sons and daughters don't get sent into battle in ridiculous ways.
Former Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. We should note Wendy will be featured tonight in a discussion hosted by Harvard's John F. Kennedy Jr. Forum beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern, the in-person event entitled The Presidential Inbox, a discussion on the global priorities awaiting the next president of the United States, and also can be streamed online so you can watch it. Thank you very much for being on this morning.